Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Today's video is all about the E-100, German Tier 10 heavy tank. The E-100 was the first Tier 10 tank I owned. In fact, when I got the E-100 there were no Tier 10 tank destroyers, there were no Tier 10 medium tanks, there were no Tier 10 artillery. Tier 10 was for heavy tanks and heavy tanks only, and this was the first one I got. And of course, I sucked in it. I mean, I was bad. I'm still not that good. But I was particularly bad in the E-100 because it was the first Tier 10 tank I'd ever driven. And also because I really didn't know how to use the gun. Now, the E-100 gets a choice of two guns. There's the 128mm gun, which is the top gun on the E75, and also the only gun that the mouse gets. But you can also upgrade to a 150mm gun, and when I say upgrade, that's open to debate. The 150mm gun on the E-100 isn't very accurate at all, and it only has 235mm of penetration, which is shockingly poor for any kind of Tier 10 tank. However, with high explosive anti-tank premium ammunition, it has 311mm of penetration. And so it's not unusual to find a lot of E-100 drivers firing heat ammo as a way of compensating for the poor penetration and relative inaccuracy of the 150mm gun. And that is exactly what I'm doing in this replay. What I'm also doing right now is making it ridiculously easy for these guys to penetrate my lower glacis. The tank is angled pretty well, however, I'm climbing up over a ridge, which is not only showing my lower glacis to them, it's flattening the angle of the lower glacis armour, and guaranteeing them all a penetrating shot. So not the smartest move ever, and I'm starting this game with a massive disadvantage. I'm now down to half health, and I've only fired one shot. But back to that gold ammunition. After playing this game, I decided I was going to stop using gold ammo on my E-100 and try to make this thing work with your normal armor-piercing ammunition, even with the lousy 235mm of penetration. So this is the last game I played in the E-100 where I loaded up my heat ammo by default. And this was one hell of a game. I'm platooned up with Ike and Quickie Baby. They're both in T110 E5s. You can see them over there. Quickie Baby's already got 2 kills. Ike's taken a bit of a battering though. I'm over here in the E100 trying to support them as best as I can. Now the thing about the high explosive anti-tank ammo is that while it does have very good penetration, and it maintains that penetration at all ranges, penetration doesn't fall off with range the way armor piercing or armor piercing composite rigid does. It likes to hit flat surfaces. And that's why I waited for the E-100 to turn his turret fully to the side before I fired. High explosive anti-tank ammo does not like spaced armour, and it does not like angled and sloped surfaces. It tends to bounce a lot unless it hits something flush. Like that. Now this is a much better position to be firing from. The tank is still angled well, but from here they can't hit my lower glacis. And bingo, bounced a shot. Now, 750 average damage on this gun, and that E-100 over there has 756 health, and he turns his turret to the side, and not today, Jingles. Although I did hit him for over 800 earlier, so yeah, you win some, you lose some. Annoying, but it happens. And it looks like we've got this game in the bag. We're winning 6-2, but this enemy team, they just would not give up. They had some really good players, and they start to pull it back. And this right here is the problem with the E-100's gun. It's the inaccuracy. Even with high explosive anti-tank ammo, with 311mm of penetration, it has to hit a flat surface. And at these kind of ranges, you just can't guarantee you're going to hit what you aim at. Come on, give me a shot at the mouse. Yes. Couldn't have asked for a better shot. Totally flat side. Big target. High explosive anti-tank ammo is always going to do well there, but I'm keeping my eye on what's going on up north. The 2 enemy tanks that went up there. Oh, come on, I need to kill this guy. And I got him, and my tracks ate the return shot, so that's good. But yeah, the two tanks that were with me and went around to the north are both dead, and I'm getting really worried about being outflanked by that Jagdtiger and the Waffenträger Panzer IV who's up there as well. So I figure as long as these guys are spotted, I'll go around and try to relieve the pressure on the flank and try to kill these guys before they make their move and catch me in the side. Stay to the low ground so those guys engaging Quickie Baby and Ike don't have shots at me. And where did they go? Gonna be up here somewhere. There's the Jagdtiger. A very, very dodgy shot, fully aimed, and it goes in. Back off, because there's a Waffenträger 4 up there as well. Almost reloaded, pop back out, see if he takes another hit, and he's left on 6 health. And then artillery narrowly misses me, blows my tracks off. There's the Waffenträger. The Jagdtiger's now ducked into cover, and he's on 6 health. I do really begrudge having to shoot at targets on such low health when I've got a gun that can do 750 damage. You know, I feel like I'm just not getting my money's worth out of the ammunition. But I know artillery's ranging in on me, so I need to break contact. And hopefully, those two tank destroyers and the artillery are going to be wasting their time aiming at where I was, waiting to see if I'm going to be dumb enough to pop up again. And while they're doing that, they're not shooting at Ike and Quickie Baby. There's the Jagdtiger. I really hate having to do this, but he needed to die. I've got 1 round of high explosive anti-tank ammo left. Normal armor piercing ammo would have done the job, but it takes 15 seconds to reload this thing. You know, you get the shot, you got to fire with whatever's in the barrel. Oh, and it turns out Ike has died. Quickie Baby's still fighting his corner over there. And he's got some strong tanks in front of him, and I really need to be helping him more than I am. Unfortunately, I can't see the mouse, I can't see the STI. There's a Waffenträger Panzer IV up there, and I need to get over to where Quickie Baby is and back him up directly. But just driving across that field, well, you saw what happened the first time I tried that, so instead I'm going to have to take the long way around, and I will be exposed for part of the trip, but I need to get over there. Oh, and that was artillery having a speculative shot at me again. So right now the scores are even, and Quickie Baby is under a lot of pressure from the STI and the mouse, who've both close to knife fighting range, and he's desperately asking me to come up here and help him, and I donk my shot at the STI. Ironically, that was my last round of heat ammo, and Quickie Baby has actually switched to firing his first round of heat ammo in order to make sure he kills this STI, so he's no longer fighting 2-on-1. And there it goes. Very sportsmanlike STI player, I must say. The guy actually congratulated Quickie Baby on the kill, and Quickie Baby apologised for having to use heat to finish him off and ensure the kill. So with the STI eliminated, and still paranoid about the threat to my left flank from that Waffenträger, no idea where he is, and he's been awfully quiet, I push up and try to desperately, just praying I'm not going to get hit, as I come up and finally get into cover where I killed that E-100 earlier. And that's where I spot the icon on the minimap behind me, turn the turret just in the nick of time. The gun mantlet takes the hit, miss the return shot, and move just in the nick of time to avoid taking a hit from artillery on the engine deck. Instead, my tracks get blown off. Didn't use the repair kit, judged that the Waffenträger wasn't going to reload in time, managed to get round into cover. Meanwhile, Quickie Baby is still basically single-handedly fighting off this mouse, but I'm behind him now. Armor-piercing ammo loaded. An almost perfect shot right in the back of his turret. You have got to be kidding me. And that's the armor-piercing ammunition on the E-100's 150mm gun for you. And in a move that surprised absolutely nobody whatsoever, artillery still has a massive hard-on for me. And that's a direct hit from the M53 artillery for you. Meanwhile, we've got to kill this Waffenträger. We cannot afford to have this thing behind us. Quickie Baby leaves it to me while he goes hunting for the Jagdpanzer. Oh well, he's dead. Of course I can laugh about it now. At the time I was cursing like the sailor I used to be. Quickie Baby, on the other hand, was intensely grateful that I'd killed the Waffenträger. That meant he didn't have to worry about being outflanked, and he could take down the Jagdpanzer E-100 from a artillery safe spot without having to worry about where the hell was the Waffenträger. And our artillery puts a shot into him, which means Quickie Baby only has to hit him once to finish the Jagdpanzer E-100 off. The mighty Jägeru is no more. All that remains is to hunt down and kill the enemy M53, and he's played a blinder of a game as well. This match was... my hands were actually shaking after I lost my tank. It was so tense. Some exceptionally good play from both teams all throughout this game. It was one of those games that's the reason why you play World of Tanks. Right now, Quickie Baby's asking me where I think the enemy artillery is, and I'm saying, yeah, over there, in front of you. He's saying, are you sure? I said, well, I'm not sure enough to risk your tank on it. So he very wisely decided to follow his own gut instinct and head up towards the windmill and the enemy flag, which it turns out was completely the right decision to make. Now you'll notice our artillery is not just sitting at the back of the map waiting to take a shot. He's rushing up here as well. He takes a shot. Quickie Baby plants one into him. It's going to take 2 hits though. This is a high tier artillery. Game over. What a game. And here's the post-battle results screen of that match. Now note, almost 80,000 credits earned, over 3,000 experience for the first win of the day, doubled, but only a second class mastery badge. Now people will try to tell you that the E-100 is a bad tank. If I can do over 5,000 damage in the E-100 and still not even get a first class mastery badge, let alone ace tanker, it can't be a bad machine. People must be doing exceptionally well in this tank. Looking at the team scores, it was pretty much down to the top 2 players in both teams. Quickie Baby and myself on our team, and Big Ben and R140 in the Jagdpanzer E-100 and the Mouse on the enemy team. That's not to say that there were poor team performances. Pretty much most of both teams played a hell of a game. But the lion's share of the work was definitely done by the top 2 players on both teams. But look at this. Quickie Baby's T110E5, 5,300 potential damage received. Myself in the E100, 6,300 potential damage received. T62A, even 3,000 potential damage received for him. This T110E5 here, Ike, 5,290 potential damage received. The battering that both teams were taking. Look at the Big Ben here in his Jagdpanzer E-100. Almost 8,000 potential damage, and he did 5,000 damage of his own, and some spotting damage. The Mouse, 6,500 potential damage, 4,000 damage done. Both teams had some exceptionally good players, and it was a privilege to play that match. However, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was the last game I've played in the E-100 where I use my high explosive anti-tank ammunition by default, because even though I earned almost 80,000 credits, I still lost money on that game to the tune of 12,500 credits in the red, and that was the 60,000 credits it cost me to resupply my premium high explosive anti-tank ammunition. So after this game, good game though it was, I resolved that I was not going to use premium ammunition on the E-100 anymore. Let's see how that worked out. This time we're on Westfield. I'm platooned up with Circumflexers in the Death Star, the FV215B183, and Sir Foch in the Waffenträger E100. The FV215B183 is another one of those machines that you should expect people to be firing gold ammo. And yet, unlike the E-100, it's entirely possible to run a profit on the Death Star while firing premium HESH ammunition, because if you're any good, it does so much damage that it actually makes up for the cost of the ammunition. Now you can see I do still have premium ammunition, but I'm not using it, and I'm not going to use it at all in this game. This was my test run in the E-100 to try to see if I could make this thing competitive without firing any high explosive anti-tank ammo. So I'm pushing up into the town, I check behind me to see who's coming with me, and that's when the Object 268 rolls out and gives me the good news right in the transmission. Not a great start, but I angle the armour, and since he's given me the side, I may as well take this shot. There's an E75 up there as well. I back off, and then realise there's nowhere to back off to, so I may as well get stuck in. And at close range, Brawling is where the E-100 really does best. And if you're firing armour-piercing ammo, at close range is really where you need to be in this thing. Take another hit, but the armour holds up. This is not a good position. We need to nail this Object 268, and the team are working him over, and I take another hit, but yeah, I've still got plenty of health. Bouncer shot from the E75. Loaded, trying to get a clear shot at the Object. Oh, he's dead, which, okay, that means I can finish off the E75. E75 did make it easy though, didn't even try to angle his armour. Now then, okay, well I've made it up here, I may as well move into the town. It's what I came here for in the first place. A little worried about these guys cresting the ridge. Speak of the devil, ooh, Jaegeru ammo-racked him. And yeah, it would have been nice to be able to take the shot before the Jaegeru fired, but I wouldn't have killed him, he had too much health. And so the Jaegeru did prevent me from taking more damage. So anyway, there's an Object 140 down at the other end of the town to my left. There's an M103 over there. And while, you know, I do want to shoot the M103, I don't want to roll out from behind the cover of this barn and present the flat side of my hull to that Object 140. Also, tank destroyers unaccounted for. But I didn't take any fire when I poked, so I figure it's worth the risk. And the M103 is kind enough to turn his tank sideways on to guarantee a penetration. And there's the Waffenträger. Pull back into cover, M103 takes a pot shot, misses, he's in a terrible spot and he knows it. The Waffenträger's running for it. I'm going to ignore the M103 because this guy needs to die. He's obviously reloading. Oh, that was satisfying. Back off. Get the ridgeline between myself and the M103 while I reload. Keep the armour angled. I know he's going to be taking... No, he's not. Oh, he's seen me. Fires. Yeah, I can take that hit. Youch. I did not realise that the STI up there actually had an effective shot at me. So I miscalculated that one, but... Oh, jeez, that one hurt. But, you know, an E-100 spotted driving in the middle of an open field, why would artillery not take that shot? Luckily, wasn't a direct hit. Even more luckily, it's not the tier 10 batch out, so I know that there isn't another shot coming 5 seconds later. And we've pretty much got this one wrapped up. It's just a question now of seeing if we can get any more damage in. Yep, we can. So, yeah, the E-100. You know, when I first got this tank, I really wasn't in a position to judge it properly. Now, with over 12,000 games played under my belt, I do feel that I am in a better position to be able to use this tank properly, regardless of the kind of ammunition that you use. And I think the problem for me, and for a lot of new E-100 drivers, is that they've been conditioned by the previous German heavy tanks that are very, very good snipers, and the E-100 absolutely isn't. The gun is just not accurate enough, and the penetration at long range is terrible with armor-piercing ammunition. And so they use premium heat ammo as a crutch to compensate for the failings of the gun and the ammunition, and to enable them to keep playing the E-100 in the way that they've become accustomed to in the previous German heavy tanks. While that can work, as you saw from the first replay in this video, it's a hell of an expensive way to make a tank fit your playstyle, when what you should probably be doing is make your playstyle fit the tank. And that was the whole purpose of the experiment when I set out to do it, to try to break myself of all of those bad habits that I picked up from when I first started driving the E-100 as the first Tier 10 tank of any description that I owned in World of Tanks. And with the benefit of the experience that I've picked up in the 7,000 or so games that I've played in World of Tanks since I first got the E-100, I am definitely able to make this thing work without just throwing money at it and spamming heat at every target that I see. Of course, some of the games along the way have been utter disasters, but it wasn't because of the choice of ammunition that I was using. The results that I've had using standard armor-piercing ammunition in the E-100 have been consistently good enough that I am able to confidently state without the slightest hesitation that, contrary to what I may have told you the first time I reviewed the E-100, you definitely do not need to be firing high explosive anti-tank premium ammunition with this machine. It is good enough to do well consistently without emptying the contents of your bank balance at it. And that's not something I thought I would ever hear myself saying when I first got this tank. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.